This is the Amazing Musings podcast. I'm Bill Wong with my co-host,
Beverly McDowell.
and today's podcast is about civility, or the lack thereof. And I want to say this real quick. My co-host is so thoughtful. She knows that I'm actually starting the writing process, and I'm a little bit off because my brain's off somewhere, writing and editing, even as I'm doing this podcast. And she is so sweet, saying, we don't need to do this today. We can do this some other time. But I mentioned to her, it'll only get worse, so we're going to go, and the show must go on. So Beverly's got a story, or a story that she had with some of her friends that she's going to talk about civility and what we think is a decline in human behavior. So why don't you start?
Okay, I'm going to start. And what I was talking to Bill about, it was the fact that it was three ladies talking together, and one lady came in to our conversation. Well, she wasn't really in the conversation. In fact, we didn't know her. And she sat down at our table, and she started talking about we talk about certain things, that it really means a lot to us. And we were speaking that we were saying the Lord's Prayer. She wouldn't say the Lord's Prayer because she felt like it was an individual thing about different people and different nationalities and everything. I said, the Lord's Prayer is what we do every day here in the cafeteria. We talk about, our Father who art in heaven. And if you don't want to be a part of this, your best bet is to leave, because we need to be in unison when we do the Lord's Prayer.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
Ooh.
I said, if you can't deal with it, you got to go.
And how did that come on? How did that go?
Well, she just looked at me like I was a crazy person, and then started telling her about how many people were here, how many nationalities. I said, I don't care about all the nationalities. I'm very aware of who they are. But when we sit at this table in this cafeteria, we all say the same prayer. So if you're not a part of this, you got to go. Mm-hmm. And she looked at me like she was crazy, like I was crazy, actually. And she started to talk about certain things about different people and the government. I said, what has it got to do with the national prayer that we always do? Right. Since I was a kid, we did the prayer. Mm-hmm. And it's going to continue. And if you don't want to be here, you got to go. Mm-hmm. Then she started talking about all sorts of things about the government and who's involved and what we should be doing. And I said, oh, God.
Did you say that out loud? Oh, God? Did that come out, or you kept that to yourself?
I kept it to myself. I didn't say that. I said, I can't believe this is happening. No, I kept it to myself. But she got on one of the other ladies' great nerves. Okay. She really started pushing her till she finally, the lady turned around and said, I'm not talking to you anymore. You are not speaking the same language. Leave me alone.
The other person said that to her?
The other person said that to her.
Okay.
She said, leave me alone. And I wanted to find out what was wrong. Her face turned red, and she was really annoyed about what this lady was doing and saying, and about all of a sudden the government. What is this? Mm-hmm. And so we started talking to her. I said, tell us what's wrong. What's wrong? She says, I'll tell you later.
Because she was too upset.
She was very upset.
Okay.
And the other lady was sitting there. I said, I pointed at her and I said, if you cannot say the prayer of God, mm-hmm. you got to go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did she stay?
I said, and she started like fidgeting, okay, because she didn't know what to do, right, because nobody knew her. She just showed up one day and she started preaching her antics and what she was all about. And I said, you gotta go. Mm-hmm. And she couldn't, she finally packed her sandwich and
now, I
whatever.
have two points.
Okay.
On the one hand,
what?
People do have the right to participate or not participate.
That's true.
Right? She has the right. You don't have to say the Lord's Prayer if she doesn't want to.
No, she doesn't. But
Right.
you don't comment on it.
Okay. That's where you're going.
You know what? You don't comment on the Lord's Prayer.
Okay.
You don't want to participate. You don't have to. You don't have to participate. And besides, you can close your mouth and get up and leave.
Right.
Because if you believe in something else, you shouldn't be there speaking it. I said, because we say the Lord's Prayer every single day at lunchtime.
Right.
We don't change because you decide you want to change, because of the zillions of people, the zillions of nationalities that are here at the table. That doesn't make any sense. So you got to go.
And here's the other point. That's a great response. The other point is what she had said bothered this other woman
Yes, it did.
to the point where she was getting red and very upset.
Right.
Now, what was the thing that was bothering? What caused that? Because
Well,
I wasn't there.
That, you know what? I started speaking to another lady that was sitting next to me, and she started talking, was conversation between her and the negative lady. And
The negative lady.
very negative.
We're just gonna call her the negative lady right now.
It's really
because we can't think
that's
of
her
another-
name, negative lady, and so we call her NL. So, so whatever. But the lady got very upset because we turned around after I finished talking to the lady next to me, and I turned around and she was like flushed, and she said, "I said, what's wrong?" She said, "I'll tell you about it later. I'm too upset."
Right.
So then.
So fast forward, you guys had a conversation. What was
right,
that about?
and she said,
What was it?
I said, "What's wrong? What happened?" And she said she was so negative about everything that's going on in our lives today. The government, the prayers, whatever. Everything is different. And she went, I said, "Where did this little woman come from? We didn't invite her to this table." She sat down and started being, I said, "If you're going to sit at this table, you got to be positive, or else get going, okay?"
No, and she shouldn't push, I guess, her views on other people. And there's a certain. I've sat at your tables, and a lot of times I'm quiet. I don't say a word. I got a lot of stuff to talk about, but I don't say it.
No,
People
you
don't want to hear what I have to say.
No, we don't know whether or not we hear what you wanted to say, but you are very positive when you sit down. You're funny.
I don't want to put my opinion onto a conversation. It has to be a time and a place where, really?
Exactly.
Right. So, and I think that's sort of the civility we're talking about, that you have to pick up these cues and participate in a way that helps move the conversation forward.
There you go.
Right. And I think it's really important, and this is some of the problems I have, and I don't understand, and we talked about this before we started recording, but a lot of people, it seems like the amount of uncivil or incivil behaviors has increased recently. That people are doing things and saying things that are less appropriate. And I wish I understood why, because, and I can understand as a teenager, I'm sure I've said and done things. And even before this podcast, I said, "Oh, I'm going to do this." And you said, "Yeah, I don't need to know that." I was like, "Yeah." But you shared that with me that, okay, so now it's one less thing I am going to do wrong. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do anything wrong.
Of course.
But what I'm saying is that we need to have sort of an awareness of ourselves and a control of our behaviors, and not only what we say and what we do, because words do matter. What we say is so, so important. And I really don't understand why, even when I leave this library, I mean, I went over and talked to Paul a moment ago and said, "Hey, hi, Paul, how you doing?" And when they let me in, I asked, "Oh, how you doing, Molly?" And I'm going to say goodbye to almost everyone as I leave. And, "Oh, thank you very much for allowing me to use your facilities. Have a nice day," because it's civil. And I want to come back. I really want to come back.
Right.
I don't want to be barred.
I understand that.
I don't want to go to library jail.
You know what? Who wants to be in library jail? But the thing about it is, you do have to be careful about how you speak to people and how you talk to them, because you want them to feel warm and receptive,
Yes.
and acceptable. Because, when you talk and you want people to listen to what you're saying, in other words, involve yourself in the conversation of what's going on right then and there. You don't want to start yakking about things that you grew up with or where you were a part of and expect everybody to accept them, because it doesn't work that way. We've been saying the Lord's Prayer for ever since before I was born. And that is acceptable. It's acceptable. I accept it. Everyone should accept it. That's how they're putting it.
I want to, you made me think of something. I think there's a selfishness within people where I need to be heard and what I have to say has value, as opposed to listening where I want to hear what you have to say so I can respond to it, because it gives an appreciation of other people. And it means that I want to listen to you, you have something of value, as opposed to I have something of value, so you're going to listen to me. And it's a different way of looking at the world, a different perspective, which I don't think, and as you were saying, making someone else feel good, where if I see Molly, I'm going to say, hey, hi, and, because I've known her for months, if not a year, and we talk about stuff, and we talk about stuff like we talked about on one of the podcasts, a little bit less superficial, but a little bit more real, where, this is a challenge I'm having, and I want to share this with you. And she's so wonderful, where she would listen to me and go, I understand. So I think it's that problem of listening and appreciating other people. And there's nothing wrong with quiet.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing wrong with being quiet. Because you hear people better if you listen to them instead of talking over, because you're waiting for them to finish so you can talk about what you're thinking is real or what's good or what's bad. And I never like that, because I can tell when a person is not listening to me. Their eyes started jetting around and looking all over the place, up and down, over, and I sit. And I stop talking. I really do, because, and then I will say to them, I said, you're not listening to me. They said, yes. I said, no, you're not. I said, I know the difference. Because when I'm listening to someone, I look straight in their face, because I want to see their eyes. I want to see their reaction. I want to see their body movement, everything, because I know then they're a part of what I'm doing.
In most of communication, they say 70 or 80% of communication is nonverbal. It's not what I say, it's how I'm reacting to you.
Absolutely.
And you can tell if someone's really listening.
Absolutely. Because I look straight at you, because I want to see the reaction. I was taught that by my mother. My mother said, if you're not looking at me, you're not listening to me. And she said, when I speak to you, I want you to look straight at me. And I can tell.
How old were you when since a little girl, she shared this with you? 5 years old, 4 years old?
You know what? I don't know how old I was.
Okay.
All I know is that my mother always said that, even when I was a kid, even when I was young, 3 and 4 years old. Okay. She taught that to us. And she had 5 children. And she taught each and every one of us this very thing. You look at me when I'm talking to you. She always said that. Look at me when I'm talking to you, that I know you understand what I'm saying. When you look away and your body starts doing weird things, I know you're not caring what I say to you. I know you're not listening to me. And when you're not listening, my mother gets really quiet. She would
So you became your mom in a way.
Absolutely.
Seriously. So the same thing that she did to you, you're doing to other people, because if you're not listening, I'm getting quiet.
Exactly. I get quiet. And she did too. She said,
you don't want your mom quiet.
I didn't want my mother quiet. And
I want mom to talk.
I love to hear her talk, because she always had something wonderful to say. Very interesting things to say. And my mother read a lot. She
She read?
Read a lot
I
of
thought you
books.
said ran.
And read a lot of books.
Okay.
And she was very cautious of how she talked to you. She was, she was cautious, but she was your mother. You listened to what she said. She's very smart, very smart lady. But when something upset us or somebody else upset
You
us,
in trouble.
okay, you're in trouble and the other person is in trouble. When they said something negative toward us, she made sure that they understood that this is my child.
Right.
And you better.
So she had your back.
She had my back.
Yep.
She had all of our backs.
How many brothers, sisters you have?
I had 3 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay.
And
A total of 5? Is that right?
it was 5 of us.
Okay.
My mother said it would have been 10 of us if she'd have.
Wait, what?
She said, whoops. She said, it would have been 10 of you. But I lost 5 children.
Oh, she had,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
She lost them.
Okay.
There was no such thing as abortion.
Right. Okay.
She lost the kids before they were born, when they were born, when it happened.
Miscarriage, is that what's called? Miscarriage?
It was a miscarriage. She had a miscarriage. And the 5 children that she had, she said, I was supposed to have them because they were wonderful children. Yeah. She said, I was very lucky. She always said she was blessed to have us because we understood what she was, who she was, and everything, and we all listened to her. And nobody messed with our mother.
Right.
Okay?
That's good.
She was wonderful. She was a wonderful lady.
So why do you think people are being rude? Why do you think that seems to be the norm now, where it's okay to not treat people with respect? It's okay not to say thank you. It's okay to intervene into a conversation. It's okay to be on social media and say the worst horrible things. Where I would see things on the news where someone would have a death threat or leave a voice message or a death threat to somebody on social media. And I'm like, I would never do that anyway, let alone put it in writing. Why would you even do that? And I would even go out of the... Here's something that shows how crazy I am. There was a teacher last year who was, she was forced to resign. Basically, the school board did not support her. So, and then she felt, so I called her up and she said, it wasn't so much the school board, but it was the families in the district of which I would sit with their children after hours to help them prepare for a test or prepare for an AP exam. And when I needed them, they weren't there. And that was the one that really hurt. So when I called her, I said, well, I wrote a book. I wrote a thing of poetry. I'm going to give you a poetry book. And it was called Unkept Promises. And then for some reason, this is the way my mind works, I said to her, oh, I'm going to give you an award. I made up an award almost on the spot. I said, you're getting an award. Oh, really? Yeah. It's called the Kept Promises Award. Because the book is Unkept Promises, and it's about individuals that we need to have courage and we need to have commitment to our community. And it's about standing up and having bravery. So I wrote a series of poems about those themes. So I said, oh, yeah, you're going to get an award. And she goes, oh, okay, thank you. So next time I see you. So right now, I'm in the process of not only designing the award, but also I didn't realize at the library you can do 3D print things. So you go online, you get these templates. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. So, and I searched through hundreds of awards and like, oh, here's a really cool one. It looks like a lion, like a stylized lion. And then this is also how crazy I am. I talk to people, I say, it's a male lion. Is that somebody who's not a female? Would that bother you? And I talked to some librarians that said, no, that doesn't bother me. I think it's fine. So I've designed, literally, I have found a nice award. We're going to make a little platform for it, put the date and also, but to make her feel good, because I felt so horrible that she felt alone and she didn't have anyone supporting her, and all the people that she helped didn't have her back, not like your mom had your back.
Oh, yes.
These people didn't
Always
have her
did.
back. So I created an award, and that shows how crazy I am. But why can't we be like that to do stuff for other people as opposed to what we're doing? I don't understand that. What is wrong with people
I don't
today?
understand that either. I've always wondered why, it seems like it's getting more and more like that every day. Nobody stands behind you. Nobody stands next to you. Nobody stands in front of you and take care of you.
That's right.
And it's becoming like it's norm.
Right.
Like it's supposed to happen. No, it's not.
And you said something about standing in front of you. At times in my life, I've stepped in front of other people to take the bullets for them and to take the blows for them. And no one ever knows about that. They never will know, but I've done that.
Of course.
In privacy, but I know. And that's the thing that's important. And I don't understand why people just to say thank you, to say, oh, I appreciate you. I understand what you're doing. And even these wonderful people here at this library, I thank them all the time because all the hard work they do to keep the shelves stocked, to do they have a game area. And on my daughter's birthday, I didn't even realize that they have these board games things to say, hey, this is a really cool game. When did you guys do this? Oh, months ago, Bill, if you open your eyes. It's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, I only thought it was about books and DVDs. I didn't even realize they've got this streaming thing. They have an area for 3D printing. They have a streaming where you can download books. It's like so wonderful. And they do this without any fanfare. They go about doing their jobs. And these people are heroes. These people are amazing. And why can't we treat other people who are doing customer service? They've made, they might be making the coffee at your shop. They might be serving your hamburgers. Just why can't you be just civil to individual or helping you get on an airplane? What is wrong with people that they don't understand and appreciate? It's work to do this day in, day out, to have a smile, and they don't appreciate that. What is wrong with people? I'm serious. What is wrong with people that they can't just say thank you? And people are having a hard day. Jobs are hard. That's why they're called jobs. Seriously, what is wrong with people?
Tell me about it.
Tell me. I want to know the answer. I don't know the answer.
We're both looking for the answer. We're all looking for the answer. For people who've been a part of being civil and nice to people, and the people that are surrounded by this want to know, what is this outside force that is coming in to grab us because they don't want anybody to be nice anymore? What does that mean? What does that mean?
But we have the agency to act. As an adult, if I'm a 16-year-old, okay, my brain is totally not formed. But as an adult, I have the choice of how I act, what I say, and what I do. I do. So everyone should have a choice of how they're acting. So they are making a choice. I am going to be negative, or I'm going to say something, or I'm going to make something feel bad, as opposed to I'm going to try to make them feel good, or just little words like, I understand. I understand you, and I understand what you're going through, and don't worry about it. This happened, just little things where I did a podcast, I think, a week ago, and the volume for my co-host wasn't loud enough. So we had to come in and do it. And he goes, oh, I'm really sorry. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. It happens. And I appreciate you coming in on another day to re-record it. I didn't say, oh, what's wrong with you? And you screwed it up and we had a good podcast. We redo it. That's the way the world is. And even one of the librarians made a comment. I was doing a podcast and they was having an event outside and it was a little bit loud. And she came up to me and goes, oh, I'm sorry, is that bothering you? It's like, well, a little bit, but that's the way the world is. I mean, those things happen. Don't worry. And she actually felt bad for me. And I was like, I appreciate you feeling bad for me, but I'm going to have to gut it out and just deal with it. And if it is a little loud, that's sort of on me that it bothers me. Because my reactions, I should be able to control my reactions. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't let that bother me. and I'm going to just do the best I can because the world's not perfect. The world is total. I wish the world was perfect. I wish I was tall. I wish I was good looking. I wish I was rich, but I'm not. So I have to deal with it.
Yes.
So why should I make other people or complain to her and do this other stuff? Hey, you guys are too loud and all this other stuff. It's the way the world is.
Because that's what you're doing all the time. You say, I wish you would be quiet, or, that's what you'll be doing all the time. It's ridiculous. You accepted it, you work with it. Oh my gosh, you're going to make me laugh. So, you're so funny. But anyway, that's, what it is. We would like for it to be a little less strenuous. We would like for it to be a little perfect, but it's not. We have to deal with the negative forces that are around us. And we try to bring in our positive feelings toward inside, so hopefully they will pick up on it and be more civil, It would really help us a lot. It's oh gosh, I feel what you're saying. It makes sense what you're saying. Yeah, I'm going to live on that. I'm going to work with that.
Now, it doesn't mean that we are under a lot of stress in today's world. It doesn't discount that what people are feeling. It doesn't. It doesn't discount that. And so I'm not discounting that. I'm saying, okay, we all need to we all need to put on a happy face. We need to put on a happy face. But what I am saying is that you have to understand those negative emotions and then put that aside and not let that try to affect almost. And like I said, Beverly said, hey, maybe we shouldn't record today because your head's in writing. I was like, the show must go on. And I have to overcome that. And I want to be a professional. And a professional has a certain standard. And regardless of the things that are happening, that I want to try to, she's here already. I don't want to have her come back and I have a responsibility to her and I have a responsibility. So it's like, and it's not going to get any better, I don't think. So I appreciate that, but in some ways, I don't want to say suck it up because that sounds terrible. In some ways, I have to act like a professional. And I'm like, okay, this is something I need to do. And the other thing that really bothers me, and I think this happens on social media, because you're behind a computer screen, you're anonymous. So you think that gives you the right to say and do whatever you want. And I really have a problem with that because the things that you put out there either super negative or threats of violence or a personal attack, that bothers people. And you shouldn't do that. I mean, why would you, even somebody who's really famous, they had done something and they stood up for some other people and they were getting a lot of negative feedback. I reached out to them and say, hey, I'm going to give you an autographed book of my poetry book and sign it and give it to you because I feel so terrible about that. And that's what we should be doing. We should try to support each other and understand another person. And even if I saw the other day that Robert Downey Jr. was given a SAG award, and he said he appreciated the work of another actor who supported him early in his career, who allowed his career to win a SAG award. And that person has had said some negative things. Sometimes they consider might be a little bit racist or a little bit of maybe anti-Semitic. But in some ways, it was very courageous to support somebody who supported him. I don't condone the negativity and the anti-Semitism or maybe some of the racist comments, but it's nice to support somebody who supported you. And in some ways, that's courageous. So I'm a little bit not sure how to take that, but I think in some ways it's a positive because you're standing up for somebody else. And it doesn't mean that person, and everyone's made mistakes. And hopefully they've made up and said, okay, that's a mistake and I shouldn't have done that. So, you have a comment that's coming.
Yes, you know what? I hear what you're saying. You would like somebody to stand up and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean this,
right,
or I didn't mean to say it, but that's who they are. and they're not going to change because you were nice to them. Because if that...
So you don't think people ever change?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Because if you have that feeling inside of you and you've always been like that from the beginning, why would you change? Because it's not you. It's not who you are. And a person who changes in mid-sentence, they're fooling you because they believe that they're negative. They believe that they're racist. They believe that that's who they were born to be. They're going to always be like that.
Okay.
I'm not going to deal with them. And it was wonderful for Robert Downing Jr. to say, nice things about him because he'd done something nice once.
Right.
That's good for him.
Right.
Not good for me.
That's right.
And I don't believe in anyone who's a negative person. Everything is negative, racism. He doesn't like to laugh at jokes or whatever the case may be. It's a person who is going to always be that way.
Now, when I was a 20-year-old, I would have never imagined sitting in a room with someone who is black doing a podcast because I was not open-minded enough to even think about that. And I had no friends who were black. So over the years, as I've gotten to know other individuals, so I've changed. That's my point. So over the time, I've changed. And I had to come to terms with my identity as an Asian American. So, so make a comment about that.
Well, you were willing to change. You were willing to do something about it because you didn't know any better. That's understandable. But when I hear about a person being like that all their lives, it doesn't affect me because what it does is that you're going to change in mid-sentence, so to speak. You're going to change because...
What do you mean mid-sentence? What are you saying?
Meaning that you're just changing because somebody else asked you to change.
Okay. So that's not
real.
But
it's not real.
Okay.
You're not thinking it. You're not believing it. You're not a part of it. So therefore, it's like, okay, I'll change because you're nice to me. No. That's not who you are. You changed because you have never been affected by it. You have never grew up with it. That's the difference. You didn't get a chance to know the other person. Because if you had known the other person, you would have realized that, hey, he's just like me. She's just like me. You can do it. And it's like you didn't force yourself to do it. It's a natural thing to do. You got involved because you found out the person is good people, Just because they're different colors don't mean that they're not, And you got a chance to find out who this person was. You didn't force yourself to do it. And thanking another person because they're racist or whatever the case may be, and they're not going to change.
I don't think he thanked them because they were racist.
No,
I think he thanked them for his support.
For his support. Okay, he thanked him for his support. That is what I'm saying.
Right.
He thanked him for his support. His support.
Right.
But doesn't mean he's, changed about everything else.
No.
He's still the same person.
Correct.
He just thanked him for his support at the time because he said, okay, you're a good person. I think you're wonderful. Right. But he's still the person.
Yeah.
He's still, and that bothers me. It really bothers me because if you just thanked him because he was there at the time, he was the person that was in front of him at the time, he was acting with him at the time, he got to know him. Right. But did he get to know anybody else before him, beyond him, all over? No. He just thanked him.
Right.
That's the difference. Yeah. And he was able to thank this person. And that's okay for me.
Well, what I guess what I do like is that you appreciate another person. Yes. I don't appreciate some of those things that other person has said, so I get it. And I really think the problem is that we have a lack of understanding, empathy for another person, how our actions affect somebody else. That what I say and what I do does affect them, and maybe they either don't care or they don't know. Both of them are bad. If you don't know, that's a problem. If you don't care, that's also a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
Right. But there's a lot of people, I think, they maybe from the lack of, and that's the difference between a child and an adult, in my mind, that awareness of others, not so centered on yourself and how what you do affects other people. And so many times I see people acting in a way that it affects other people and they just seem like they don't care, but they're adults. And how could you not know that that affects you? Even if I tell you and it affects somebody, it is affecting me. No change in behavior. And I agree with you. Most people do not change. Unfortunately, I think I've come to that same determination. Most people don't change. But, and even in the light of, oh, by the way, I've informed you. And behavior is to me, is so important. It's not what you say, because what you say is so easy to change, like you were saying, but it's what you do. And I really don't think we measure or we look at what people do, because it's very easy to, it's very easy to gloss over that. So I'm agreeing with you, even though it might not sound like I am.
Well, you are, and, I think when you get to know people and find out about people, then you can do whatever you were taught long time ago. You got to know who is around you, who's part of you. And that's what I've learned, because I came from a civilization.
A civilized home, upbringing. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Upbringing. Mm-hmm. Because that's all I knew. But there were other people around me, and we got a chance I wanted to find out who were they. I want to know what they were about. Mm-hmm. I wanted to hear what they were about. Talk to me. Mm-hmm. I was interested in the person. Well, I don't care what color they were.
It was a curiosity.
I wanted to find out what was going on. Mm-hmm. And that's what changed. And it wasn't changed because I didn't know. I only lived in a certain world. Mm-hmm. And then I got a chance to say, oh, okay. And I want to talk to you. I want to see who you are, what you've done in your life, But my mother never taught us to hate. I kind of loved her for that. She said, what are you hating for? It doesn't bring anything. Right. It doesn't change you.
And a lot of people, I think they really like to grab onto that hate and they make it part of themselves. And I don't, I'm not saying that I think it seems like a lot of people like to hold on to that, because I'm agreeing with you again, even though it doesn't sound like it, that they have this hate and they want to hold on to it and they make it part of themselves. And I can't understand that. And it's almost like a cancer to me.
It is.
Where it starts small and it gets bigger and bigger.
It is a cancer.
What you're saying before, which I wanted to make a comment, was I think there is a normalization of this, as opposed to have a civil, nice, being nice to other people and listening to other people, having an empathy. There's this normalization of, I'm going to be rude, I'm going to insert my feelings, I'm not going to listen, and I don't care how this affects you. And that's being normalized. And I wish that wasn't being normalized. But, and if I can change something, that would be something that would change us. And not everyone's like that. Let's be clear. I don't think everyone's like that, because I knew a lot of people who were very kind and they listen and they're very thoughtful and they listen to other people. But it just seems like maybe it's a minority, and because they have a loud voice, they seem like they're a majority. I don't know what it is, but it definitely seems like we need to fight against it, and we need to be more aware of ourselves, aware of other people, and so listen more.
Would be nice.
Okay, so I guess that's our podcast for today.
Yes.
Just that we're advocating empathy, to listen to other people, to understand how your actions affect other people, and try to be kind, and even say thank you and you're welcome, and to try to have a smile, even if things are bothering you. Like this morning, I was a little bit preoccupied. I'm trying to I'm trying to have a good attitude today.
Yes.
Because how can I not have a good attitude when Beverly's in the same room?
Hello.
Thank you very much. This is our podcast for today, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.